ideal life by reshaping your perceived reality. Chris Lippincott is going to tell us how, and he's an international psychic medium, best-selling author, spiritual teacher known for evidential readings that bring comfort and healing. So Chris, tell us, how can entrepreneurs and people worldwide manifest their ideal life?
Follow me for more manifestation techniques.
Well, hey, Lily, it's a great question. It's a very important question, because what people tend to do is get caught up in their daily life. They get caught up in their bills, their food, their relationships, etc. So what people have to do is kind of get out of that concept of what are they dealing with in the everyday, because our thoughts are actually creating our reality. And everything that we exist in is basically energy. We are all energy, and our thoughts are creating the energy. And so ultimately what we need to do is get out of that false perception, the false illusion that we're creating, and start creating a different reality. And everybody then says, well, wait a second, you mean you can just think something into reality? And the actual truth is yes. And you can go into quantum physics and actually talk about how that's true. Because, not to get too deep in the weeds, but the entire concept, since everything is energy, it all exists in multiple states all at once. That's literally the Copenhagen principle and also the superposition principle. When you take those concepts into being, you understand that particles can only change when there's another energy that's forced into them, and that comes into one being, that one comes into one state. So that's what our thoughts are doing. Our thoughts are actually creating our reality. So when we start feeling something or thinking something, you'll notice one thing leads after another. Let's say, for example, you're feeling bad, or you get up early in the morning and you stub your toe, and then all of a sudden little things bad start to happen, and you start spiraling out of control for the rest of the day. You spill your coffee, you get into a fender bender, all these bad things start to happen, and you're like, I didn't bring all these things to me. And the reality is you did, just by the way that you think. You're like, oh, this is bad. And so you start manifesting bad things. So change your thought process. What is it that you need to do to change your thought process? First, you need to think, I've got to get very clear on what it is that I want. I've got to get crystal clear on the details. I've got to get crystal clear on what it is that I want in the most picayune details. And once you've got that, you've got to start feeling it. What does it feel like to actually have that thing? Whether you want to manifest a relationship, whether you want to manifest a successful business, whether you want to manifest a new car, whatever it is, feel like what it is to have that thing. If you want the new car, go sit in the car. Put your hands on the leather. What does it really feel like to own that car? And see it as if it's already yours, because it already is. As Spirit has come and told us many times, there is no such thing as linear time. That's human time. What we're understanding is everything happens in process, when in fact, and even Einstein proved this, there really is no linear time. It's all happening at once. It's all in the now. So see it as already happening, and you'll begin to attract it to you. And the other important part is you have to believe it. You got to believe that it's possible. Believe that it's actually something within your power. Because if you go walking around saying, I don't think I can do that, well, you're right. Because your thoughts create your reality. All that you think about, you bring about. And so if you do that, you start saying, okay, well, I'm just going to ask the universe for what it is that I want, and then start taking aligned action. What does aligned action mean? Aligned action is nothing more than just following your intuition. If you get like a little nudge that something should be, I should do this or I should do that, just follow it. If it's aligned with what it is that you're trying to manifest, and you're like, well, that makes sense. I like that. I'll follow that nudge. Like if for some reason you start saying, okay, well, I want to buy a new house, and all of a sudden you've got this intuitive feeling, I think I should go onto my website and look at, the real estate page today. And lo and behold, there's your perfect house, right? And then the other big thing is to let go of the how. You got to let go of that process. You got to let go of the controlling how you're going to get it. You can't say, okay, I'm going to have this checklist. I'm going to do this and this and this and this. I'm going to follow these things. That's not the way the universe works. The universe has like billions of possibilities to have this thing, arrive. And when you do that, you're just like, okay, you do it the way you know how. It'll be the most efficient path to your door. So you're not, just getting in the way of the universe bringing the thing to you. If you're trying to control it, you're not going to do it efficiently. And then ultimately to sort of stay in the mindset of being open, allow it, and kind of this be gratitude, be in gratitude, always be writing in a gratitude journal. I'm so grateful that I have whatever it is you're manifesting, right? So open gratitude, love, openness, joy. And if you're in this positivity mindset, you create. That's really how.
Thank you. I'm a master manifester, and I manifest a lot of really interesting things and people. Maybe you too.
Yeah.
And my mission is to impact 100 million people to be happier, to go after what they want, to share their stories, and to create wealth through books that transform the world. And what's stopping me from achieving it is that actually there's a lot of disappointing experiences I've had with people where, to some extent, I don't trust people anymore. It's like, so there's you can say there's an incongruence between what I desire and then the disappointing experiences. So right. How do you make those kind of things go away where you can say, in order to actually achieve that, I would need to, start trusting people again. And it's not that generally don't trust anyone. No, it's not like that. There are certain people that I instantly trust and that I'm, but what I find is that it's in the areas where I was disappointed that I don't trust people anymore. So maybe, let's say I would refer people to other people rather than getting them to work directly with me, because I don't trust that I could handle, the disappointment that other people could give me by working directly with me, for example.
Right. Well, that goes all to the concept of the belief. Remember, we were talking about belief in the very beginning. It's like, if you believe you can have it, then you will, because it's all in the power of the mind. And I was saying at the very beginning that our mind shapes our reality. Everything that we, are walking down the street, that we're looking at the trees, we're looking at people, we're looking at cars going by. That's all an illusion. Why is it an illusion? It's because our brains take the sensory input, turns into a chemical reaction, and then it creates this picture of what we think we see. And so we start seeing things. And then there's the other aspect of our ego mind. Our ego mind has a very long memory. It's trying to make us avoid things that we don't like or things that are painful. So what winds up happening is we'll see things in a skewed vision. You've heard of the saying, don't look through life through rose-colored glasses. Well, there's the opposite. Don't look through life through gray-colored glasses, right? It's the same thing. It's like you're always looking at life in a different way. It's never crystal clear without any biases. We're all biased. But that bias is what creates our reality. So if we remove our biases, if we remove the false impressions that we have in our minds, we're going to change the reality that's out there, because the reality is nothing but an illusion. Step out of the ego mind into the higher mind, the higher vibration mindset, and your reality radically shifts, because you're not allowing yourself to kind of, scratch with the chickens and, and get down on the earth. It's like, feel yourself in a state of love. Feel yourself in a state of positivity. Feel yourself in a state of belief, positivity. I can do this. This is going to happen. And when you start saying, oh, these people aren't going to hurt me, or these people aren't going to disappoint me, or these people aren't going to have, problems, you'll start to realize that, okay, maybe it wasn't meant for them. Maybe their time wasn't right. Or maybe it's not part of your path to intersect with that person. So maybe they weren't part of your path. Maybe the universe is saying, okay, let's take this person out of the path because it's not efficient. We're going to make the most efficient path to avoid that person, not get involved with that person, and keep on going to the people who do work with you.
Thank you. What about a fear of criticism? So, I find that like in the last 11 months, I've spoken to hundreds of multimillionaires, and I speak to multimillionaires every single day. And it was in my, you can say in my manifestation, not journal, but, this notebook thing where I write, that I was going to collaborate with celebrities and with multimillionaires, and they were going to like highly value my advice. And you can say I'm kind of going in that direction. And but what I find is, for example, my family is still kind of putting me down and still kind of saying, oh, you are not doing enough, and you're not, you should be a teacher, you should be like doing something else, and so on. And I think that, I don't care so much about that, but sometimes certain words that they say kind of put me down, and they take me out for a few hours, in the sense that I get depressed from what they say. And it's because they don't understand like the progress that I've made. I've made like this kind of gigantic progress in the last year. And I guess to some extent, I don't expect them to understand, but I find it still hurtful to hear it. And I'm unable to control my emotions around it. So how can someone continue manifesting what they desire in spite of often having these negative emotions from criticism?
Yeah, criticism can be very damaging to one's self-belief, because again, it goes right back to the ego. And that's where, we're talking about our belief system, is that the ego is always going to be, your worst critic. And the ego picks up on everybody else's criticism and goes, aha, see, they're criticizing you. And it's like this repository of all these negative things, negative energy, all the things you don't want. Yet it's the most vocal thing in our existence. We can't stop hearing our ego mind. So if we begin to say, okay, ego mind, I'm not so keen on hearing you anymore, and we begin to, this is why meditation is so powerful, because when you get into the meditation state, you start to realize that loud, obnoxious voice that's coming out of your ego mind is not so loud and not so powerful anymore. And you start to get into this sense of peace. You start to gain peace where before there wasn't any peace. You start to gain this perception of calm, positivity, alternate feelings of, hey, world's not so bad anymore. Whereas the ego mind, because it's so focused on all the things that went wrong, or all the pains that you had, or all the things that you got hurt from the age of 2 to today, which it'll bring up, and you won't even realize it. You're like, wait a second, I didn't remember that. Your ego will. You start to focus on all these positive feelings, and you're like, oh, okay, great. But that's why you have to focus on your positivity. If you, one quiz I give to my clients, I'm like, okay, focus for 1 hour on saying and thinking only positive things. I challenge you to focus on saying and thinking a positive thing just for an hour. See how long you can last. In the beginning, you're like, I can't do that. That's impossible. And they're like, or they'll take up the challenge. And they're like, well, I failed after 15 minutes. I'm like, see? But then it's like, okay, you did it for 15 minutes. See if you can do it for 16 minutes, and then 17, and then 18, right? And see how long you can keep on doing it. And the longer you start doing it, the more you're like, oh, I can start to focus on positivity. I can start to focus on my personal joy. I can start to focus on, my happiness. And how do you get happiness? You go right back to what I was talking about before. Gratitude. Start your day in gratitude, because people who are in gratitude are the happiest people on the planet. You can be, the poorest person in the world, but you're grateful for your shoes. You're grateful for the ceiling or the roof over your head. You're grateful for your family. You're grateful for having food. Whereas everybody else is like, oh gosh, this world, it sucks. They're, I'm not making any money, or they're saying bad things about me, or blah, 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 blah. Well, that person living in that straw hut, they're grateful for what they have, and they're so happy. And you're like, why are they happy? Because they're grateful. So wake up in the morning, have a gratitude journal, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. It could be tiny. It could be, I'm grateful for my morning coffee. I mean, I love my morning coffee. I'm grateful for the sunrise. Grateful to be alive. I mean, it's the things that we just take for granted that you can be grateful for. And when you start focusing on gratitude and you start feeling happy, you're walking in this cloud. Everyone's like, wow, what happened to you? What do you got?
Thank you. So, I mean, people do ask me all the time, what have I been drinking? It's mostly just water and joy. But,
Yeah.
but I still find that I don't know how to become immune to criticism. So I'm wondering, what do people who, let's say, appear to be immune to criticism, what do they do differently in terms of manifestation? Is it that they just have a stronger self-concept from not having had trauma when they were children? Or what is it that they do differently in order to become stronger, tougher mentally and emotionally so that they are not affected at all by anyone's beliefs or criticism, whether it's written or said?
It all goes to a really sort of a combination of self-concept and belief and joy and focus. When I say self-concept, it goes to a principle of realizing that they got to be in that gratitude, but also they're realizing that they can't be influenced by somebody who's going to try to drag them down. Most people are like, listen, I don't have time for that. I don't want to be in your negative, doom loop. I don't want to be, dragged down by your depression. I don't want to be dragged down by all the negative things you're telling me. If you have a negative view of me or you're saying negative things about me, it's not my problem. That's yours. You're the one who's, spewing venom. It's not touching me. I don't care about it. If you don't feel good about life, that's your problem. You can go away. I don't care. It's not touching me. I'm going to be focused on my joy. I'm going to be focused on my gratitude. I'm going to be focused on creating the life that I want for me, because that's what brings me joy. Your negative comments don't bring me joy. Focus on things that only bring you happiness, and leave everything else behind. Whatever resonates, absorb. Whatever doesn't resonate, leave it behind.
Thank you. What about if you actually live with a partner who is negative? Like, let's say your wife. If your wife was negative, what would you do? Leave her, or?
Well, I gotta say, I got personal experience on this one. She and I have different views on that concept. She was brought up in a very negative perception. Her family was very negative, so that was the way she grew up. So her whole bias is more, the living in the past and coulda, shoulda, woulda, and or what's going to go wrong now, and it's this whole fear mentality. Whereas I grew up in a kind of a similar thing where life wasn't great. It was good. But we didn't have quite the negative attitude. And so then I just started then realizing manifestation and love and, spirituality and kind of going off this direction. So for me, it almost feels like I've been teaching her. So it's been sort of like all right, come on, you can join me, come on up. But when, she in the beginning was it was like a tug of war. And then all I was trying to do was focus on my joy, my love, my happiness, and try to allow that energy to then kind of ripple across the room over to her. Because it's like in the you're on the airlines, and the flight attendants will say, in case of cabin pressure and the oxygen mask comes down, first put it over your nose and mouth, and only then give the oxygen mask to somebody else. Because you can't give somebody else what you don't have. You first got to have it inside. Once you get it inside, then you can help the other person. So first you got to self-love. Then you can give that love to somebody else once you've got it inside.
Thank you. Tell us about manifesting anything with the power of words. How do words work in terms of helping you to reshape your perceived reality?
Well, words are very powerful because when you begin to think something, you often will personalize it and bring it into your own reality based on the thought that you've got. If you're thinking something negative, you're like, oh, this sucks. The word sucks just suddenly comes out of your mouth. You don't even realize you're saying it. But it's the energy that you're producing with the word. It's suddenly something that you're talking about. It's like what you think about, you bring about, both verbally and energetically. And words have massive power. I mean, we've seen this in experiments of people, speaking loving thoughts to ice crystals that create wonderful images, negative, venomous thoughts to ice crystals or water that turns into ice and shows this horrible image, horrible, crystallization. Experiments were done with water back in Japan. They do the same thing with plants. You'll see the plants thrive when you start talking loving energy, and the reverse, of course, when you're talking venomous energy. And you can feel it just between two people. Somebody speaks, really terrible things to you, and you're like, oh. You feel it in here. Yet the opposite, of course, is true. When somebody just speaks nicely and kindly and lovingly to you, you're like, oh, I feel so much better. So the thoughts that you spout, the thoughts that you're verbalizing become things. They're tangible things that create energy, and that energy creates the reality that you're in. So be careful about what you say. Words are powerful thoughts and energy.
Thank you. Tell us your 10 commandments for manifesting anything.
What are my 10 commandments? Be focused on your gratitude of everything you have, because that'll be your base layer. Be focused on the details of exactly what it is that you want. Be very crystal clear in exactly what you want to manifest. Be focused on those things that you want and believe that you can have it. Have a self-concept of belief, that system that that you want. And ask the world, the universe, spirit, your higher power, whatever you believe in. Ask for it, but then also release the control. Release the how. It's not under your control, because the universe is going to bring it to you in the most efficient way possible. Stay open to all those pieces of intuition that you're going to get. What is it that you're going to receive? If you receive that nudge, follow it up and follow along with whatever it is that is within that space that resonates with you. If it resonates with you, take it in. If it doesn't resonate with you, let it go. And just remember, what you reap, you sow. Thoughts become things.
Thank you. Tell us what else you would like to know, you would like to share for entrepreneurs who want to manifest anything.
You can manifest anything that you desire. The world is your oyster. Really, the universe is your oyster. If you want to create something, manifest something, know that you can, but be very focused on what it is you want, and be focused on the positive energy, because your reality is nothing but an illusion that you create. You create your reality. You create everything that you have. So you have that energy to transform everything that's around you.
Thank you. Tell us about what you've managed to manifest and how you've managed to manifest your ideal life, or how you've helped other entrepreneurs to manifest their ideal lives.
Great. I think the most recent and amazing thing that's happened to me was manifest my perfect house. We're literally moving in 2 months. And for probably the last 2 years, I've been focused on that perfect house. Focused exactly where it's going to be, what it's going to look like, why it's going to be there, what I'm going to do when I'm there. The other big part of this is all visualization. I forgot all about that. You got to visualize. If you can sit and visualize every single day exactly what it is that you want, that's how you suddenly feel that you're there, because you're taking yourself to where you're going. So for every single day, I would sit and I would visualize myself sitting on that screened-in porch with my cup of coffee, sitting, looking out over my land, sitting in this beautiful nature. I was just like, oh my God, this is beautiful. I can't wait. I was getting so excited. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to release it to the universe. And I eventually just forgot all about it. Going down to that area, we ran into to a realtor friend, and she's like, "Hey, you know what? I got this house that's going on the market. I think it might be kind of interesting." We're like, we're not really in the market, but okay, whatever. And she shows us the exact house I was dreaming of. I'm like, "Oh my God, I have to have that house!" And it just fell into our lap because the person who was selling it wanted out as fast as you can say boo. And then she's giving us everything inside the house. I'm looking inside the house like, that's my house. I was like, just floored. I couldn't believe it. I'm still pinching myself. I'm like, this can't be right. That can't be happening. But it is.
Wow, that's fascinating. Tell us where entrepreneurs can connect with you.
Sure. They can connect with me at chris@montclairmedium.com. That's my email. Or they can look me up at montclairmedium.com. That's my website. And, if people want to connect with their meditation, earlier I was talking about meditation as a way to kind of get yourself more grounded, peaceful, calm, and get out of that ego mind. If there's a great meditation on that site. It's a free guided meditation. Just go to montclairmedium.com/free-meditation, and it'll just take you to this place that you'll never want to leave.
Thank you.
Manifestation Empress podcast with Lily Patrascu shares manifestation strategies to live your dream life.